Hello and welcome back to Exploring Ways to Wellness. I'm Sarah and I can hardly believe we've reached the end of season 2 already. What a journey it's been. When I started planning this season, I thought I knew what wellness looked like. In fact, I had my list of practices, my understanding of what worked and what didn't. For me, anyway. But sitting here now reflecting on these incredible 10 conversations, I realise how much my perspective has actually shifted. This season has been about discovering that wellness isn't just an individual practice we do in isolation. It's about connection to ancient wisdom, to our body's innate intelligence, to each other, and perhaps most importantly, to the understanding that we already have everything we need within us. Today, I want to take you through some golden threads that I believe have woven themselves through every single conversation this season. Because what I've discovered is that whether we're talking about 5,000-year-old Ayurvedic principles or someone learning to breathe properly for the first time, the same profound truths keep emerging. Let's start with something that surprised me completely. This season, ancient wisdom wasn't relegated to history books. It was showing up as practical, relevant guidance for our modern challenges. Kaz introduced us to Ayurveda, translating 5,000-year-old principles into modern life. That simple concept of like attracts like, opposites balance, such ancient wisdom, yet so immediately applicable when you're feeling scattered and need grounding. Then Blanca took us to Egypt, where standing in temples, thousands of years old, created profound personal transformation. Her encounter with Sekhmet, being energetically told off for not putting herself first, shows how ancient spaces can deliver exactly the messages we need to hear. Even Craig's exploration of flavour connected us to ceremonial approaches to food that cultures have understood for millennia. The Japanese tea ceremony, the ritual of Sunday roasts. These aren't just traditions, they're wisdom about how to be present with what nourishes us. What strikes me is how these ancient practices survived because they work, not because they're mystical or exotic, because they address fundamental human needs that haven't actually changed despite all our technological advancement. We still need to feel grounded, to process emotions, to connect with something larger than ourselves. The modern world has given us incredible conveniences, but it's also disconnected us from rhythms and wisdoms that have supported human well-being for thousands of years. This season's guests have showed us how to reclaim that wisdom without abandoning modern life. The second major theme for me that emerged was something revolutionary: trusting our body's innate intelligence. Ren showed us that 80% of us aren't breathing correctly. Something so fundamental we do without thinking, yet most of us have lost the natural pattern. But here's the thing, our bodies do remember, and with gentle guidance we can relearn what we always knew. Sarah Cooper's 16-year journey with homeopathy revealed how the body has the incredible capacity to heal itself when supported properly. Not through forcing or fixing, but through creating conditions for the body's own wisdom to emerge. Karen's Reiki work demonstrated how the body draws energy exactly where it needs it, whether the client consciously knows what needs healing or not. Julie's client with chronic asthma who reversed her condition through emotional aromatherapy and breathwork. Her body knew exactly what to release once given the right support. Also, Julie's transformation from antidepressant withdrawal to 5 years of sobriety, supported by essential oils, showing how plant medicines can work with our body's systems rather than overriding them. Even in seemingly unrelated conversations, this theme appeared. Bo's instinctive understanding that sport isn't just physical exercise, but also emotional regulation. Joe's description of how art naturally shifts us into flow states our minds crave. What I'm hearing across all these conversations is that our bodies are constantly giving us information. Through breath patterns, through cravings, through where we hold tension, through what practices naturally draw us in. The challenge isn't that our bodies don't know what they need, it's that we've forgotten how to listen. One theme that caught me completely off guard was how many different forms of creative expression emerged as powerful wellness practices. Joe's art classes revealed how mark making on paper can transport you into meditative states where time disappears completely. That student in his 50s who rediscovered the joy of pencil on paper after decades. There's something profound about reconnecting with creative expression that we've abandoned long ago. Noreen's laughter yoga showed us that joy can be accessed deliberately, that we can literally laugh ourselves into better mental and physical health. Her breakthrough moment, "I love this! I love my life! This is brilliant!" came through the simple act of laughing on purpose. Julie's emotional aromatherapy combines scent with emotional release, showing how our senses can unlock stuck feelings and memories. Even Craig's exploration of flavour was really about the artistry of taste, the creative act of mindful eating. Blanca's transformational Egypt journey was, in essence, a creative reimagining of her life. She used ancient temples like an artist uses a studio, as spaces for transformation and self-discovery. What links all these practices is that they bypass our analytical minds and access wellness through expression. Whether that's through laughter, visual art, or even the art of presence through our food. In our productivity-obsessed culture, we've somehow forgotten that creativity isn't frivolous. It's fundamental to human well-being. These conversations reminded me that we're not just logical beings who need to optimize our health. We're creative beings who need to express, play, and make meaning through forms that speak to more than just our rational minds. Perhaps the most powerful theme running through this entire season was the recognition that healing rarely happens in isolation. Connection is medicine. Blanca's Egypt experience was transformed by incredible generosity of strangers. The driver who brought her food at midnight, the guard who asked for a pen for his son's schooling. Acts of human kindness that became part of her healing journey. Bo's insights about sport showed how physical activity becomes transformative when it includes friendship and community. Those conversations that happen naturally while kicking a ball around. Sometimes the most important emotional processing happens when we're not trying to have deep conversations. Noreen's laughter yoga creates instant connection between strangers. There's something about laughing together that breaks down barriers faster than almost anything else. Joe's art classes naturally evolve into communities with WhatsApp groups and mutual support for each other's exhibitions. Karen's Reiki work often includes messages from loved ones, connecting clients to relationships that even transcend physical presence. Even the most solitary-seeming practices revealed connection at their core. Kaz's Ayurveda reminds us we're connected to natural rhythms and seasonal cycles, and Ren's breathwork connected us to fundamental rhythms we share with all living beings. This season showed me that the Western approach to wellness, individual optimization, personal responsibility, private struggle, is missing something essential. Yes, we have our own wellness to look after, but it can happen in relationships. Whether it's a relationship to ancient wisdom, to our bodies, to creative expression, or to each other. The practices that seemed most transformative weren't just techniques people learned, they were doorways into deeper connection with themselves and their communities. I started this season by confessing my wellness failures, how I'd abandoned those grand season 1 commitments and felt like I'd somehow gotten wellness wrong. But these conversations have shown me something different. Maybe my goal was never to become the perfect wellness warrior with a morning routine that would make lifestyle influencers weep with envy. Maybe wellness is much simpler and much more complex than I thought. Simpler because, as guest after guest demonstrated, the most powerful practices are often the most accessible. Breathing properly, making marks on paper, laughing deliberately, really tasting your food. More complex because true wellness seems to be about the integration rather than the addition. Not cramming more practices into your life, but weaving awareness and presence into what you're already doing. Julie's shower singing with essential oils. Bo's recognition that sports provide natural emotional regulation. Joe's understanding that art making is really about learning to see. These aren't additional practices to squeeze into busy schedules. They're ways of bringing more consciousness to activities that would already be part of life. I'm ending this season with a very different relationship to wellness. Less performance, more presence. Less perfection, more curiosity. Less forcing, more listening to what my body and spirit actually need in any given moment. As I look ahead to season 3, I'm excited about continuing to explore practices that honour both ancient wisdom and modern life. I've got conversations planned around lots of practices we haven't even touched yet, and I'm always open to hearing from you about what you're curious to explore. But more than that, I want to continue building this community of people who understand that wellness isn't about perfection or performance. It's about showing up with curiosity, supporting each other's experiments, and sharing what we're discovering along the way. I'll be opening up the Wellness Explorers group as a space for exactly this kind of connection and support. You'll find the link in the show notes, and I'd love for you to join me there. I also have some goodies planned for the short break before season 3 starts on October the 1st. Please join my waiting list via the show notes so I can pop some wellness extras to you and update you on season 3. It's also a great opportunity to get involved yourself, or let me know who would make that next fantastic guest. Thank you to all my incredible guests so far, and to you for joining me on season 2. Whether you've listened to every episode or just dipped into the conversations that called to you, I'm really grateful that you've been part of this exploration. Remember, there's many paths to wellness, and yours doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Trust your body's wisdom, stay connected to what brings you joy, and know that the most profound healing often comes through the simplest practices. Take care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you in season 3.